Joining us now, Director of Heritage Foundation's Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom, Nile Gardiner. Now, good to have you here. This just goes on. We're seeing the violence increase, the terrorist attacks increase following the end of Ramadan. It seems to be coordinated. It seems to be broad-scale, global. What are we witnessing here, and why isn't there a response that is effective on the part of Western governments?
Well, all very good questions, Lou, and we're just seeing the latest in a wave of Islamist terror attacks across Europe, especially against countries such as Belgium and France, the heart of Europe. And, we have to acknowledge that, we are engaged in a global war against Islamist terrorists. And the Islamists will hit us wherever they possibly can. And tonight in Nice, this was a massacre against very soft targets carried out by people of immense evil and brutality. And we have to be prepared to project the kind of leadership and resolve that is necessary in order to crush and defeat the Islamist terror threat. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have that kind of leadership and resolve here in the United States in the White House. We don't have much of that resolve in Europe either. And ISIS and its Islamist affiliates across Europe, across the world, are taking advantage of that situation.
Now, I have to say, I was encouraged greatly when, following the Paris attacks, Francois Hollande declared war. He immediately ordered attacks against targets for the French Air Force. So little has happened since. There seems to be a sense of theater about our leaders, but not much in the way of sustained, intelligent response that's effective and leads to anything approximating victory. And the public is left vulnerable and exposed to death.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And what you have, from figures like Francois Hollande has been, some of the right messaging, but not necessarily backed by real action. And what you've seen from European leaders in recent months, in recent years, frankly, has been basically inertia, inaction. Political correctness has dominated a lot of, European policy towards the Islamist threat. And so Europe's leaders have been spectacularly, I think, weak in the face of, monstrous evil. And I think the fact that, you have a president here in the United States, President Obama, who has the same sort of European style mindset with regard to what we're facing. And I do think that many leaders in Europe, the current occupant of the White House, is in a state of denial with regard to the global nature of the threat, the ideological nature of the threat. And let's be under no illusions here. We are facing a monstrously evil ideology here that has spread its tentacles across Europe. And Europe is now, unfortunately, facing the consequences of many, many decades of extremely weak-kneed policies, and also, of course, an open borders policy within Europe, which has been absolutely disastrous in terms of security.
And it seems that the elites, particularly of Europe, appear, one certainly hope it's not the case, but they have decided that a certain number are acceptable levels of collateral damage in what is a war marked by indifference and ebbing interest. It is a cruel sense of government to accept people in who mean your citizens harm, and to have no response and little regard for the consequence. Is that too harsh?
No, I mean, I think that Europe is living with the the legacy today of many, many decades of extreme weak immigration policies. It's also living with the consequences, I think, of an unwillingness to acknowledge the scale of the Islamist threat within Europe. And, you have cities across Europe, especially in France, especially in Belgium, that have become hornets' nests of Islamist extremism. And under the European Union, Islamist terrorists have had basically freedom of movement across Europe for many, many years. And this, of course, is an extremely dangerous scenario.
Now, Gardiner, Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much, Lee.